And we're back. I'm going to take this back here for a second. We're working on the wreath. And I'm just going to dig this out just a bit. And make it a little bit more defined. This is all I'm doing is taking this rounded gouge and just following the outline a little bit. Just cleaning it up. Those edges are a little rough looking, so this one way you can do is just take a... Now remember, these things have to be really sharp for you to use these, okay? You don't expect to get results with this without it being sharp. So I'm constantly making sure that they're sharp and that they're, you know, honed up. They get the slightest bit of drag to them, or they don't cut clean. You'll know what I mean by the drag. When you cut, you know, they leave little lines behind. Then it's time to take it to a strop. All right, you don't try not to continue carving with it. You just make it worse, and it's going to be harder for you to sharpen them up. Especially with these, it's important to take them to a strop or to a wheel. You know, if you have the electric, if you have the Tom machine, that's a great Tom massager. Yeah, I really love what he's made. It's come in so handy with so many things. I like his knives too, so don't hesitate to contact him. And people ask a lot about, well, what's a good, you know, with wood carving, what's a good knife, and what's, you know, what's reasonably priced. And you know, you can pay, we're going to stop right there, you can pay anywhere from $10 or $15 for a knife up to $40, but the average is about $20, $25 for a good knife. And you know, you think, well, if you're a beginner, you're going, wow, $25 for a knife. You know, it's important for you to understand that you need to do the job right. You need the right kind of tools. And if you use one of these knives that you can get at one of the hobby stores, not all of them carry it, but I'm talking about the chain type hobby stores that are located in every state. The hobby stores that a lot of people go to, there's usually one in every, you know, 50 miles or so. And those do not have, in my opinion, they do not have the right wood or the right knives. So if you bought it there and you're finding it to be very frustrating to carve, it's probably your tools. It's not you. It's you know, and the old saying, you get what you pay for. But you know, if you're new to this, you don't know what's a good quality knife, and you don't know what's a good quality wood. And so I don't blame you if you bought something from there and it hasn't worked well for you. I had one guy give me a knife to sharpen up. I'm going to look at this back here for a second. And I'll tell you, it was the hardest knife. I could not get an edge on that knife to save my life. It was terrible. It really was. It was just absolutely horrible. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with that wreath right now. We're going to clean that up a little bit later. Right here I'm going to start kind of defining the arms a little better and go a little bit deeper to the edge there. You don't have a lot to work there, but try to work from the bottom up. From the very edge here, try to make it deeper there on up. Alright. See, it's a little deeper now. That looks a little better. Alright, same thing over here. You just constantly want to redefine your knot lines and make them a little bit deeper, a little more crisper, a little cleaned up. It does a world of good to your carvings when you do that. Now, we have this pretty well done for now. Alright, so Alright, we have the beard, we have that, we have the wreath, this little thing cut out. We're going to redefine that a little bit more. Alright, now we're going to go back to the hat for a minute. Let me go get another tool. Bead tools are a wonderful asset to your carving box. Like I said in my first video of the Shorty Santa, I never really used them until the last maybe 3 years. And the reason I stayed away from it was because they're so difficult to sharpen for most people. They can be a real hassle. But when I got that machine, the Thomas machine, it made it much easier to keep them honed up or even reshape them a little bit. Again, you want to use your strop, and a strop is just a piece of leather on a board with some rubbing, different stages of roughness of the rubbing compound. And I sometimes use the edge of the leather, you can see that, for the inside of the bead tool, just to hone it up a little bit, and then I'll do the outside a couple of times just to make sure that we have it nice and sharp. This kind of tool, it takes a little time to get used to, even for me who has carved for 30 years, 30 plus years. Even for me it was a little intimidating, so don't feel bad if you're trying to sharpen one of these and it doesn't work. There is a certain aspect to it that there's a room of error is pretty small on this for this thing to work. So for you to make it exactly right, it will take some patience on your part and just trial and error. I have a lot of V tools, so I took some of the older ones and messed around with them and thought, well, if I really screw those up, it doesn't matter because I have other ones that I can use. But you have to practice somewhere in sharpening these. Honing them up and keeping them sharp by honing them is a good way to keep them from the grinding wheel. But occasionally you do have to take them to the grinding wheel, but do not let that hesitate you from using one of these. You know, and if you're really not sure how to sharpen them, then that's a good time to send it to someone that can sharpen those up. Some people have a knack for sharpening. You know, that's another learned art, is to learn how to sharpen. But it's highly recommended that you do your best to learn to do it on your own. Number one, it will save you the expense of mailing your stuff to someone. And there's a neat feeling to sit down and take some of your knives and sharpen them, you know, taking the time to sharpen them up. We're almost out of time here. We'll be right back.